the more and more I done it, the better I got at it, and the faster I got at it, and I was able to charge a bit more for it. But the quality was there, so people were okay with the prices I was putting out. And I kind of went, right, I could possibly make a go of this, but I have to, you know, keep my smart hat on and not jump straight away. So yeah, I'm doing okay at the moment. It's just sort of making sure that you've got the time management more for me now.
That was kind of.
It's because I still have a part-time job as well. I've got to factor that in. So I'm not saying to people, yeah, I can make that in a week, and then you know I can't. So I'm up all night. But
so managing your time is kind of
time management.
Yeah, totally, and then possibly not making promises to people.
Exactly.
Yeah, totally. Shah, do you want to pick up on that as well? What was your moment of clarity then?
I don't think there was a major moment of clarity. It was, I just sort of, I guess it kind of all started with Glasgow Comic Con. So for me, it was, well, in fact, when we used to make small press comics, we started off as Black Art Press, as Chris said, and then when we started doing that, we were just basically having a bit of a laugh and kind of just doing it for fun, you know, for your own self. And then we decided, actually what you needed was a platform to put those small press books out, because there weren't really very many. This was like 2011 or so, there wasn't really any conventions at that point. There was only High X, which was up in Inverness, and that was only every kind of couple of years or so. So when we did Glasgow, that sort of all of a sudden gave us a platform to start selling our books off of. And it was unintentional, really. There was a little bit of like, oh, we need something, but like we didn't think it would work. And also loads and loads and loads of people, like a lot of people told me, you're mental, don't run a comic convention. It will lose you loads of money, and it'll be a terrible failure. Because at that point when we did Glasgow, it was the first Glasgow convention to happen for 15 years, because basically the last season of when Frank Plowright used to run Glasgow, it used to be called GlasCAC, Glasgow Comic Art Convention. It was, you know, it kind of went from sort of doing an event that had kind of 700 or 800 people to like literally only having like 200 people in the last kind of couple of years.
Really? Okay.
So it was a completely different period and a totally different time of how people make comics, but also how people consume those books. Whereas now, what we did, we sort of accidentally capitalized on the fact that we were making stuff, then all of a sudden loads of other people were making stuff. And then, because small press printing had kind of changed, it all sort of just developed at the same time. So Glasgow went from being a sellout sort of event as a one-day event, which was like 500 people turning up to this one-day gig, to like last year being a 6-day festival with 10,000 people attending, and a Comic Con that had 4,500 people over the weekend. And you're like, wow, it's like mad that people all of a sudden sort of buy into this. But so I guess kind of for me, up until about the late 2013, I was still working full-time in sort of arts development and working sort of as like a freelance designer. And then I still do freelance design and freelance illustration stuff just because it's good to kind of keep me ticking over. But I guess I've had to sort of, in the past kind of year and a half, because Black Art Press, we rebranded as sort of in early 2015, we rebranded as BHP Comics. And when we did that, we sort of had to invest more time in what we were doing. So that's kind of where I'm at. I've kind of invested my time actually in the company and making it begin to be kind of profitable now.
Yeah, I can't believe that was 2011.
I know,
first one.
I put the Macintosh.
Yeah, I was there.
Yeah, just like
since the beginning.
Yeah.
Every year.
Yeah.
It was myself and Colin went down, one of the other Granite City organisers, and had a fantastic time actually.
Cheers, man.
Yeah, it was great.
I was there for my little sister.
Yeah.
Ali, I mean, how did you kind of fall into what you're doing just now?
Sort of similar to what the guys were saying, the comic and the con scene, it's like a string to another string to the bow. I am a commercial photographer, events and products and things, and sort of fell into the convention thing, shooting events. Met this man actually shooting another event, and said, "Do you want to come and shoot Glasgow Comic Con?" So
and sort of slightly bullied you into the idea of becoming the cosplay guy, the cosplay photography guy, going, hey, it'd be really good if there was a, and you were like,
So no moment of clarity, you were just bullied into doing it.
Well,
but there was an opening though, wasn't there?
that's it.
There was
That's
an
it.
opening,
I
yeah.
got there and I was
Yeah.
looking at these cosplayers and the time and effort that was going into these costumes. Because 5 years ago it was small in Scotland. There weren't many folk doing it, but there was a little crowd of diehards. And while I was doing the events, I was also doing a bit of fashion photography. And I loved the work, but I didn't like the industry. And I thought, there's a wee opening. I could do fashion photography, but for cosplay.
Okay.
So I just put the word out there at conventions and on my website and things, cosplay location photography.
Yeah.
And emails started coming in, so I started running about in abandoned buildings with Cammy White and stuff like that. So that took off in that side, which got myself a wee name for it. And then along comes Comic-Con, I thought I'll bring my studio along, we'll set a wee photo booth.
Yeah.
And again, that just builds up and builds up. To the point now I'm pretty busy with the cosplay stuff.
I guess that's what it's all about, really, is building the reputation.
That's it, yeah, it's building a brand for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the more strings you can add to your bow, the better. It was a couple of years ago, me and my friend Tom, Sorrento Props, were at a convention that won't remain nameless. And we're looking around going, Tom, this is a bit rubbish, we can do this better. So since then, me and Tom have put another string to the bow and are running cosplay conventions called CosCon. We'll be in Aberdeen in October.
I'm sure some of you were probably there at CosCon last year. I would have thought.
Yeah. So that was that moment of quality with the convention stuff. We're looking at going, we could do this and we could enrich it for this specific crowd. And it's just that little idea, and you work on it, you build it up.
It's amazing how quickly the scene in Scotland, I guess, has grown in the last 4 or 5 years.
Well, that's it. In 2011 there was one convention in a church in Glasgow.
Yeah.
And now Aberdeen has 2 or 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Glasgow has got 5 or 6, with tens of thousands of people.
There's about 25 this year.
Glasgow's a bit crazy for them now. There's something every other weekend at the moment, isn't it? I guess, Mike, you probably touched on this a little bit as well with the time management sort of thing. How business-minded versus